Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Star Wars channel. I'm grateful you've drifted here tonight, whether from a long day in your own corner of the galaxy, or simply because you're ready to let your thoughts wander softly among the stars. Here, in this quiet space, there is nothing you need to do. No battles to fight, no destinations to reach. Just breathe and let the stillness of the Force settle around you like a warm cloak. Tonight, we're going on a peaceful journey, a gentle meditation through time itself, following the long, winding path of the Jedi Order, from their earliest whispers in the deep past to their radiant rise and their tragic, quiet fall. This is the story of light, balance, hope, and all the fragile moments in between. So allow your thoughts to float like calm starships in hyperspace. Allow your breathing to slow as the glow of distant nebulae surrounds you in soft color. And let every worry drift away like comets fading into the velvet dark. Because tonight, we're not just recounting history. We're letting it guide us gently toward rest. We're walking beside ancient masters, listening to the hum of old lightsabers and feeling the deep, timeless rhythm of the Force. Close your eyes, sink into the vast serenity of the galaxy, and may the Force be with you, always. 1. Before the first sunrise, before there were Jedi, temples, or even sabers humming in the night, there was only the quiet breath of the cosmos. The Force moved gently through the young galaxy like a drifting tide, subtle and unclaimed. No names, no orders, only light and shadow folding into one another. In this ancient stillness, the first beings began to sense patterns in the silence, faint ripples of meaning that touched their dreams. They felt guidance, companionship, a soft urging toward balance. And though they did not yet understand it, the Force was calling them. Its whisper was the first dawn. And from that dawn, another awakening waited just beyond the horizon. 2. The Jedi awakening. Long before the Jedi, as we know them, there existed the Jedi, wanderers who listened closely to the harmony between light and dark. They did not seek to command the Force, but to walk gently with it, honoring its cycles like seasons. On the world of Tython, they meditated beneath star-filled skies, learning to feel the currents that connected all life. Their early teachings were not strict rules, but soft reminders. Breathe, observe, remain balanced. When storms of the dark or surges of the light grew too strong, the Jedi sought the center, where peace lived quietly. In their balance, a philosophy began to take root, one that would echo through millennia. 3. The Pilgrims of Tython. They came from different systems, different cultures, and different lives. Yet each traveler felt the same irresistible pull toward Tython. Some described it as a dream that guided them. Others, a voice like warm wind in their minds. The planet itself was strong in the Force, so strong that storms of energy could sweep across the land like living tempests. But the pilgrims stayed. They built shelters, then sanctuaries, drawn ever deeper into understanding the currents flowing through the planet's heart. In the challenges Tython offered, they discovered clarity, that harmony must be lived, not merely studied. And in that harmony, the foundations of a great order quietly began to form. 4. Ashla and Bogan Tython was watched over by two moons, Ashla glowing softly with the light side, and Bogan cloaked in the deep shadow of the dark. The Jedi observed their movements like a natural meditation, learning that balance was not a concept, but a rhythm woven into the sky itself. When emotions overwhelmed an initiate, they were sent to live on Ashla or Bogan to rediscover harmony. It was not punishment, but a quiet retreat, a time to listen to the energies within. In the gentle glow of Ashla, or the silent pull of Bogan, students found themselves again. And from these moonlit lessons, the earliest principles of the Jedi path began to take shape. 5. The first temples of harmony. As the Jedi deepened their bond with the Force, they raised their first temples, not as fortresses, but as peaceful sanctuaries open to sky and wind. Carved from stone and shaped by hand, these early structures resonated with the calm intentions of their builders. Each temple stood upon a place where the Force felt particularly alive: a whispering canyon, a serene plateau, a valley where dawnlight lingered. Here, initiates practiced quiet contemplation, listening to the hum of the world around them. These temples were humble, yet filled with wonder, places where a single breath felt like a bridge to the universe. From those stone foundations, a tradition of sacred spaces gently blossomed across the stars. 6. Balance as a beginning. For the Jedi, balance was not the end of the journey, it was the beginning. They believed that every being carried storms and stillness within, and that true peace came from walking between them with steady steps. Their early code reflected this idea, a soft promise to seek harmony, to respect the ebb and flow of emotion, and to let the Force guide rather than command. Teachers spoke in quiet tones, reminding initiates that imbalance was natural, but mastery came from returning to the center. This philosophy shaped every lesson, every meditation, every whispered story by firelight. And in that steady center, the earliest heart of the Jedi Order began to pulse with light. 7. The first Force conflicts. Even in the tranquility of Tython, the Force occasionally surged with storms of imbalance. These early conflicts were not wars between people, but internal battles. Moments when the dark side rose too sharply within individuals unprepared for its intensity. Some initiates felt anger swell like wildfire. Others were tempted by visions of power or clarity beyond what nature offered. The Jedi understood these struggles as natural tides, teaching that facing one's shadow was part of the voyage. Through meditation, guidance, and long walks beneath the shimmering sky, students learned to let the darkness pass like a storm. And every storm that softened into calm prepared them for the greater challenges the galaxy would one day bring. 8. The Great Journey Beyond Tython. Once the Jedi gained understanding of the Force's harmony, they felt called to step beyond their sacred world. Small groups left Tython in simple vessels, guided not by maps, but by intuition, trusting the Force to lead their path. They visited distant planets, sharing wisdom through peaceful presence rather than grand proclamations. On some worlds, they found new allies. On others, ancient Force-sensitive cultures with their own traditions. With each journey, the Jedi learned that the galaxy was vast, diverse, and filled with its own quiet mysteries. Their teachings began to spread softly, like light diffusing through morning mist. And in that gentle expansion, the seeds of a widespread order quietly took root. 9. From Jedi to Jedi. Over many generations, the Jedi philosophy slowly shifted. The dangers of unrestrained darkness had become clear, as had the destructive storms that imbalance could bring. More and more, the practitioners turned toward the light, not to deny the dark, but to choose a safer path for the galaxy's future. The word Jedi gradually softened into Jedi, and with it came a new clarity of purpose. The Jedi would serve not only as seekers of balance, but as protectors of peace. This transition was gentle, born from reflection rather than rebellion, guided by countless quiet meditations under the stars. And from that new name, a luminous tradition began to rise and shine across the galaxy. 10. The birth of the Jedi Order. As the Jedi teachings matured, a unified order slowly formed, not through conquest, but through gentle agreement. Masters from across Tython gathered beneath the planet's twilight skies, sharing their visions of a peaceful galaxy guided by the light. They crafted new principles, refined old ones, and shaped a path that honored compassion, service, and wisdom. This was not a single moment, but a gradual dawn, as countless meditations and thoughtful conversations formed the foundation of the Jedi Order. Their purpose became clear: to use knowledge and serenity to help all beings flourish. And in that soft illumination, the galaxy welcomed the first gentle guardians of the Force. 11. Early Force traditions. Even as the Jedi Order formed, they were not alone in their understanding of the Force. Throughout the galaxy, ancient sects carried their own philosophies, sometimes similar, sometimes vastly different. Some sought harmony through song, others through dreams, still others through careful observation of nature. The early Jedi approached these groups with curiosity and respect, recognizing that the Force expressed itself in countless beautiful ways. They exchanged knowledge, shared peaceful meals, and listened to the quiet insights of distant cultures. From these encounters, the Jedi learned humility, remembering that no single group could hold the entire truth of the Force. And with each new perspective, their growing wisdom deepened like a calm ocean. 12. The first Kyber bonds. As the Jedi refined their path, they discovered something extraordinary. Certain crystals across the galaxy resonated with the Force, singing softly to those who listened. These Kyber crystals called to individual Jedi like gentle whispers, forming personal bonds that reflected each initiate's heart. When held in meditation, the crystals warmed, glowed, and revealed colors that danced like starlight. The Jedi came to understand that a lightsaber was not simply a tool, but a partnership, a union between crystal, wielder, and the living Force. Crafting one became a sacred rite, a quiet moment of self-discovery. And from each crystal's shimmering voice, the luminous identity of the Jedi grew ever brighter. 13. Proto-sabers and precursors. Before lightsabers became elegant beams of pure energy, the earliest Jedi crafted proto-sabers, primitive weapons powered by external energy packs worn at the belt. Their blades flickered softly, sometimes unstable, sometimes bright as newborn stars. These early designs were the first steps toward the iconic sabers we know today, shaped through patient study of Kyber crystals and long nights spent in quiet meditation. Jedi artisans listened to the subtle resonance of each crystal, learning how to channel energy safely and harmoniously. Though cumbersome, proto-sabers were cherished symbols of growth, reminders that mastery begins with humble attempts. And from each spark of early light, the path toward the elegant Jedi weapon slowly unfolded. 14. The rise of Jedi meditation. As their knowledge deepened, the Jedi found that stillness was one of their greatest teachers. Long before councils or temples spread across the galaxy, initiates sat beneath open skies, breathing in rhythm with the Force. Through meditation, they felt the galaxy's heartbeat, the shifting tides of life, emotion, and possibility. Some meditated beside waterfalls that shimmered like liquid starlight. Others listened to the wind sweeping gently across Tython's plains. In these moments of quiet, they learned to sense danger before it arrived, to heal through calm intention, and to see truth beneath chaos. And in that timeless silence, the spiritual core of the Jedi Order settled into place like a stone finding its natural resting point. 15. Guardians of the Dawn. With their philosophy firmly rooted, the Jedi began to watch over the small settlements and civilizations that reached out for guidance. They did not rule or demand, but offered wisdom freely, resolving disputes with patience and kindness. Travelers described them as serene figures who arrived like soft light before sunrise, peaceful, steady, and deeply attuned to the needs of those they aided. Their presence brought comfort to worlds uncertain of their place in the galaxy. These early Jedi were wanderers, philosophers, and quiet guardians who carried the hope of a new age. And as their gentle footsteps spread outward, the first sparks of a luminous era began to glow across the stars. 16. Founding of the Galactic Republic. As countless star systems sought unity in an often uncertain galaxy, the foundations of the Galactic Republic quietly took shape. Leaders, diplomats, and dreamers gathered beneath banners of peace, imagining a future where cooperation replaced conflict. The Jedi, already known for their calm wisdom, were invited to serve as mediators, gentle voices helping guide the Republic's earliest steps. This alliance wasn't forged in grand ceremony, but in quiet conversations, shared hopes, and long hours spent listening to one another. The Republic became a tapestry of worlds stitched together not by power, but by trust. And as its first lights shimmered across space, the Jedi felt their purpose expanding like dawn across the horizon. 17. The Jedi as peacekeepers. With the Republic's birth came a new role for the Jedi, protectors not of territory or throne, but of harmony itself. They traveled between worlds in simple ships, resolving disputes with patience, empathy, and the gentle assurance of those who walked in tune with the Force. Instead of raising weapons, they raised understanding. Instead of enforcing order, they invited balance. Their presence became a quiet reassurance, serene figures whose calm voices could cool even the most heated arguments. Many beings saw them as living beacons, carrying peace like lanterns through the dark corners of the galaxy. And through their steady guidance, the Republic's fragile unity began to strengthen, soft as roots growing underground. 18. The Early Councils. As the Jedi Order grew, they formed their first councils, circles of wise masters who gathered not to command, but to reflect. These meetings were serene affairs, held in open-air chambers where wind and birdsong drifted through. Decisions were made with careful thought, deep meditation, and respect for every voice. The council's purpose was simple: to ensure the Jedi stayed true to their ideals, no matter how quickly the galaxy changed. Their discussions ranged from philosophy to diplomacy, from the balance of the Force to the needs of distant worlds. And with each thoughtful gathering, the Order's identity became clearer, settling like morning mist across the foundations of their future. 19. Jedi Temples. Across the stars. As the Republic expanded, so too did the Jedi's desire to nurture peace in distant systems. Slowly, they began to build temples beyond Tython, serene sanctuaries where the Force felt especially vibrant. These temples were never monuments of power. They were havens of learning, each designed to blend harmoniously with the world around it. On forest moons, Temples echoed with birdsong. On snowy peaks, they glowed like lanterns against the cold. Here, young initiates trained, meditated, and listened to the heartbeat of their surroundings. The Jedi believed that every world had lessons to teach. And with each new temple, their gentle presence spread like starlight woven through the galaxy's vast tapestry. 20. The first holocrons. To preserve their growing wisdom, early Jedi created holocrons, crystalline repositories that opened only to those attuned to the Force. These delicate artifacts shimmered like floating jewels, each containing voices of the past ready to guide future generations. A single holocron might hold centuries of insights, layered gently like pages in a book written by light itself. Young Jedi would sit with them for hours, letting ancient teachings wash over them in calming waves. The holocrons did not simply lecture. They conversed, shared, and illuminated deeper truths. And as their soft glow filled the quiet chambers of temples, the knowledge of the Jedi Order became timeless, carried forward like a whisper through the ages. 21. The Order's Wandering Knights. Before the Jedi became firmly rooted in Coruscant, many of them lived as wandering knights, peaceful travelers crossing the galaxy not by mission, but by intuition. These knights errant followed the Force like a guiding star, offering help wherever it was needed. They slept under shifting skies, meditated near the hum of alien oceans, and spent long journeys contemplating the mysteries of the cosmos. Their presence brought comfort to isolated worlds that rarely saw representatives of the Republic. Through kindness and counsel, they wove threads of trust that strengthened the galaxy's fragile unity. And with every quiet step taken across unknown paths, the Jedi deepened their understanding of both the Force and themselves. 22. Early encounters with darkness. Though the galaxy was vast and mostly peaceful, the Jedi soon discovered that not all Force traditions sought harmony. Some individuals, overwhelmed by emotion or tempted by power, followed darker paths that bent the energy of life toward control. These early encounters weren't yet full wars, more like quiet ripples signaling an approaching storm. Jedi Knights approached these beings with compassion, hoping to guide them back toward balance. But the dark side, seductive and intense, whispered its own promises. The Jedi learned that light must sometimes stand firm, even gently, against shadow. And from those first uneasy meetings, they sensed that the Force's balance would forever be a delicate, shifting dance. 23. Mandalorian confrontations. Begin among the many civilizations the Jedi encountered, the Mandalorians stood apart. Fierce warriors shaped by honor, discipline, and the fires of constant challenge. Their paths first crossed in small skirmishes, moments sparked by misunderstandings or clashing ideals. To the Mandalorians, the Jedi's calm restraint seemed unusual. To the Jedi, Mandalorian ferocity was a storm of controlled intensity. Yet beneath the conflict lay mutual respect, for both traditions valued mastery, courage, and commitment. These early confrontations taught the Jedi the importance of flexibility, that peacekeepers must understand strength as well as serenity. And somewhere in those heated exchanges, the seeds of larger future conflicts began to stir quietly. 24. The philosophy of detachment. As the Order grew, the Jedi began refining their emotional discipline. They observed how attachment, though filled with love, could lead to fear of loss, and fear often opened pathways to darkness. Instead of rejecting emotion entirely, They sought a gentle middle path, caring deeply, but without possession. Detachment became a quiet practice of letting go, of loving without clinging, of trusting the Force to guide all things in their time. Masters taught initiates to breathe through sorrow, to see joy without grasping, to let emotions flow like rivers instead of storms. And in this mindful serenity, the Jedi found clarity, a tranquil heart that could serve the galaxy with compassion. 25. The Great Hyperspace Maps. In the early days of the Republic, the galaxy was still a vast mystery, with many systems uncharted and countless routes unknown. Jedi explorers, guided by intuition and the soft pull of the Force, helped chart some of the earliest hyperspace pathways. They traveled in modest vessels, feeling the subtle currents of space-time like sailors sensing the winds of a silent ocean. As they mapped new routes, they connected remote worlds to the growing network of the Republic, opening doors to cooperation and shared understanding. These star charts became treasured guides, etched with lines of possibility that shimmered like threads of light. And with each new path traced through the darkness, the Jedi brought scattered systems gently closer together. 26. Jedi and the Architects of Peace. For many worlds, the Jedi became trusted companions to diplomats, scholars, and visionaries known as the Architects of Peace. Together, they worked to resolve cultural disputes, rebuild war-torn settlements, and weave bonds between civilizations long isolated from one another. Jedi did not lead these efforts, but supported them, offering calm insight and the steady presence of those attuned to the galaxy's deeper rhythms. Their collaboration created havens where treaties could be drafted, families could reunite, and communities could begin again. These moments of healing never made grand headlines, yet they were the quiet foundations upon which the Republic stood. And in each restored harmony, the Jedi found renewed purpose in their calling as guardians of peace. 27. Mystics of the Deep Core. In the hidden regions of the Deep Core, the Jedi discovered ancient mystics whose connection to the Force was as old as the stars themselves. These reclusive groups lived in harmony with worlds shaped by intense gravitational currents, where time and energy felt different, heavier, more mysterious. They welcomed the Jedi with warm curiosity, sharing stories passed down through uncountable generations. Their teachings emphasized patience, observation, and surrender to the living Force. Jedi students would spend days in silent contemplation, listening to the hum of strange stars. And in those quiet exchanges, the Jedi learned that the Force flowed far deeper and wider than their own tradition alone could ever contain. 28. The Rise of the First Grand Masters. As centuries passed and the Jedi Order grew in wisdom, certain masters emerged whose insight and serenity guided the entire Brotherhood. These were the first Grand Masters, not rulers, but gentle shepherds of philosophy and balance. They spent countless hours in deep meditation, listening to the quiet harmonies of the Force, seeking clarity before offering counsel. Their guidance shaped training methods, diplomatic traditions, and the tone of the Order's growth. To young initiates, these figures were like living holocrons, speaking with a soft patience born from lifetimes of contemplation. And under their watchful calm, the Jedi Order settled into a stable rhythm, like a great tree sinking its roots deeper into the soil of the galaxy. 29. The Embassy Jedi. As the Republic expanded, the need for peaceful communication between worlds grew stronger. The Jedi responded by appointing Embassy Jedi, compassionate negotiators who lived among foreign cultures, learning their customs with open hearts. These Jedi became bridges between civilizations, translating not just languages, but perspectives and hopes. They helped resolve disputes before they became conflicts, sitting at tables where tensions hung as thin as glass. Through small acts of empathy, they eased centuries-old rivalries and helped strangers become allies. Their work was quiet, uncelebrated, yet profoundly transformative. And with each peaceful resolution, the galaxy brightened just a little more, like dawn light slowly spreading across a sleeping landscape. 30. Songs of the Light. In the earliest temples, before the Order became widely known, Jedi gathered during rare celebrations to sing ancient hymns in honor of the Force. These songs of the light were gentle chants, simple and melodic, echoing softly through stone chambers that glowed with lantern light. Each verse celebrated unity, compassion, and the unbroken flow of life. Younglings listened with wide eyes, sensing the warmth of thousands of years of gratitude woven into each note. The songs weren't meant to exalt the Jedi, but to remind them of their place within something infinitely greater. And as their voices rose in peaceful harmony, it felt as though the Force itself was humming along, guiding them forward into the next chapter of their journey. 31. The birth of the Sith Order. Amid the galaxy's stillness, a group of fallen Jedi sought mastery not through balance, but through emotion unrestrained. These individuals, driven by ambition and untempered passion, ventured into the deeper shadows of the Force. From their break with the Order, the Sith were born, a new tradition defined by power, intensity, and hunger for control. Though few in number at first, their presence was like a storm forming beyond the horizon, subtle yet ominous. The Jedi felt a shift in the Force, a cold undercurrent beneath its warm flow, but could not yet see the full path ahead. And in that quiet divergence, the first echoes of a long conflict began to ripple through the stars. 32. The First Great Schism. The division between Jedi and Sith deepened during what became known as the First Great Schism. Jedi who embraced darker practices refused to return to balance, choosing instead to wield the Force as a tool of domination. The resulting clash was not loud at first, a series of philosophical disagreements that slowly ignited into open conflict. Brothers and sisters in the Force stood on opposite sides, hearts heavy with sorrow. The Jedi fought not out of fury, but out of duty, hoping to preserve harmony in a galaxy slipping toward chaos. And as the dust settled, the Order understood that darkness could rise even from within the brightest sanctuaries. 33. The 100-Year Darkness. Begins from the ashes of the First Great Schism, emerged a prolonged era of turmoil known as the 100-Year Darkness. Sith loyalists, wielding twisted alchemy and unnatural powers, challenged the Jedi across countless worlds. Battles raged beneath crimson skies, shaping landscapes and leaving scars across the fabric of the galaxy. Yet through the chaos, the Jedi stood firm, guided by calm determination and unity. They learned difficult lessons about fear, pride, and the temptations of unchecked strength. Though the conflict was long, the Jedi found ways to endure through meditation, community, and unwavering trust in the Force. And as the century-long war neared its end, the Order emerged changed, wiser, and more mindful of the shadows that lingered at the edges of light. 34. Exiles and the Sith Empire. When the 100-Year Darkness came to a close, the defeated Sith were exiled beyond the known galaxy. Cast out from the Republic, they discovered the red-skinned Sith species, on distant Korriban, a people steeped in mysticism and ancient rituals. The exiled Dark Jedi rose to power among them, shaping a new empire built on fear, devotion, and the relentless pursuit of strength. Far from the watchful eyes of the Jedi, their teachings grew sharper, more vengeful, forged in isolation. The Sith Empire became a realm where ambition overshadowed compassion and power whispered through every stone temple. And across that lonely expanse of stars, a shadow began to grow, waiting patiently to return. 35. Rediscovery of the Sith threat centuries passed in relative quiet, and the Jedi believed the darkness had faded into legend. But the Sith had not vanished. They had multiplied, organized, and strengthened their secret empire. When Republic explorers stumbled upon their domain, an uneasy stillness filled the Force, as though the galaxy itself held its breath. What followed was a sudden rekindling of old hostilities, like embers reignited by a gust of wind. The Jedi realized that the darkness they had once pushed aside had grown far more formidable in its exile. And in that moment of rediscovery, the ancient dance between light and shadow began anew, echoing ominously across the stars. 36. The Old Sith Wars. With the Sith revealed once more, the galaxy was plunged into a long sequence of conflicts known collectively as the Old Sith Wars. Worlds fell, rose, and fell again under the weight of these immense struggles. The Jedi fought bravely beside the Republic, their sabers glowing like beacons in the night. Some battles were fierce, others hauntingly quiet. Duels fought in forgotten temples, skirmishes on barren moons, and moments of tension in the void of space. Through each hardship, the Jedi learned resilience and humility, for the Sith's rage was relentless. And when the wars finally began to cool, the Order saw that the light had held, but only just. 37. The Mandalorian Crusades. As the echoes of Sith conflict began to fade, another storm rose from a different corner of the galaxy. The Mandalorian Crusades. The Mandalorians, driven by their warrior creed, sought to test their strength against the Republic and its Jedi protectors. Their fleets swept across star systems like wildfire carried on a fierce wind. The Jedi, though reluctant to fight, answered the Republic's call, standing between entire worlds and destruction. These encounters taught the Jedi much about the Mandalorian spirit: unyielding, honorable, and intense. And though the battles were fierce, they carried a strange respect on both sides. And from each clash, the Jedi learned that not all wars are born of hatred. Some arise from deeply held purpose. 38. Jedi shadows emerge. As darkness continued to weave its way through the galaxy, the Jedi recognized a need for a new kind of guardian, one who walked where light rarely reached. Thus emerged the Jedi Shadows, an order within the Order dedicated to quietly seeking out dark side threats. They moved through the galaxy with subtle steps, gathering knowledge, dismantling hidden cults, and preventing small sparks of corruption from growing into flames. Their work was often solitary, carried out in silence and secrecy, yet always guided by deep devotion to balance. To many, they were unseen protectors, and in their hidden vigilance, the Jedi found another way to safeguard harmony across the stars. 39. Revan and Malak's fall among the many heroes who rose during turbulent times. None were as brilliant or as tragic as Revan and Malak. Once celebrated Jedi Knights, they pursued the Mandalorian threat with fierce determination. But in the shadows of unknown space, something dark beckoned them. Seduced by the lingering whispers of the Sith, they abandoned the path of the Jedi and embraced power as a means to save the galaxy. Their fall sent ripples through the Force, a sorrowful reminder that even the brightest lights can flicker when confronted by overwhelming darkness. And as their new empire rose in bitter defiance, the Jedi sensed that a painful chapter was beginning to unfold. 40. The Jedi Civil War. The fall of Revan and Malak ignited a conflict that split the galaxy's very spirit. The Jedi Civil War. Former allies now stood on opposing sides, their bonds strained by fear, sorrow, and uncertainty. Revan's forces swept through the Republic with ruthless precision, while the Jedi struggled to defend a galaxy caught between loyalty and despair. Temples that once echoed with peaceful study now whispered with worry, their halls quieter than ever before. Many Jedi were lost, scattered, or forced into hiding, and the Order felt its strength thinning like mist beneath a rising sun. And through the darkness of this war, the Force trembled, awaiting the moment healing would slowly begin. 41. The Redemption of Revan. Amid the turmoil, a fragile thread of hope emerged. Captured by the Jedi and stripped of memory, Revan was offered not punishment, but a chance to walk the path of light once more. Under the careful guidance of the Order, he rebuilt his identity piece by piece, discovering compassion, purpose, and humility in places where ambition had once ruled. As memories returned like distant echoes, Revan chose redemption, confronting the darkness he had unleashed with newfound clarity. His journey became a testament to the resilience of the soul, a reminder that even the most wounded hearts can find their way home. And with Revan's return to the light, the galaxy felt a soft, long-awaited sigh of relief. 42. The rebuilding of the Order. After the turmoil of the Jedi Civil War, the Order stood weakened, but not broken. Survivors emerged from hiding, their spirits worn, yet determined to restore what had been lost. They rebuilt temples, stone by stone, rekindled old teachings, and sought new Padawans who carried hope in their hearts. The Jedi reflected deeply on their past, learning from mistakes and embracing humility as a guiding star. Though their numbers were few, their resolve was strong, strengthened by a renewed sense of purpose. Slowly, peace returned to their halls, carried on gentle winds that whispered through open archways. And as the Order rose again from the ashes, its future shimmered quietly on the horizon. 43. The true Sith, hidden in the dark. Even as peace slowly returned to the Republic, a deeper shadow lingered far beyond the reach of Jedi eyes. The true Sith, ancient heirs to the first exiles, had never vanished. Instead, they watched in silence from distant regions of space, rebuilding their strength over generations. Their presence was like a cold wind moving beneath the surface of the Force, subtle yet unmistakable to those who listened closely. Some Jedi sensed this faint disturbance, though they could not name its source. The galaxy felt calm on the surface, but the darkness was patient, waiting, quietly shaping its return. And in that hidden stillness, the seeds of future turmoil continued to pulse in the shadows. 44. Lessons of the old conflicts. From centuries of struggle, loss, and hard-fought victories, the Jedi gained a deeper understanding of the delicate balance between light and dark. Masters reflected on the past with gentle honesty, teaching that pride could blind even the wisest, and fear could lead the strongest astray. They encouraged Padawans to study history, not to dwell in sorrow, but to grow in compassion and humility. Meditation chambers echoed with soft discussions about choice, destiny, and the importance of returning to the center. Through these teachings, the Order learned to value introspection as much as action. And with each lesson passed down, the Jedi prepared their hearts for challenges still unseen, but surely approaching. 45. Renewed devotion to the light. After surviving so many trials, the Jedi embraced a renewed devotion to the light. They reaffirmed their commitment to peace, offering themselves fully to service and understanding. Temples once scarred by war were filled again with gentle laughter of younglings and the warm glow of new holocrons. Masters guided students with steady voices, reminding them that the Force was not merely power, but harmony. The Order's unity grew stronger, woven from shared memories and hopeful intentions. And while the shadows of the future lurked beyond the horizon, the present moment felt peaceful, a rare stillness in the galaxy's long history. And it was in that stillness that the next great era of the Jedi quietly began to rise. 46. The High Republic dawn. With the galaxy healing and the Republic thriving, a new golden era unfolded, the High Republic. It was a time of optimism, exploration, and luminous possibility. The Jedi were at their most harmonious, serving as beacons of hope scattered among the stars. Great academies flourished, filled with younglings who learned beneath warm sunlight filtering through stained glass. Jedi Masters walked among the people not as soldiers, but as wise companions devoted to unity. The Force felt bright across the galaxy, its current smooth and steady, like a peaceful river moving unhurried through time. And as this radiant age began, the Jedi believed they were standing at the very height of what their Order could be. 47. The Great Works begin. In this flourishing era, the Republic and the Jedi partnered on grand efforts known as the Great Works. Projects meant to uplift every corner of the galaxy. Together, they built outposts, hospitals, schools, and vast hyperspace links to connect distant systems. Jedi architects and engineers worked alongside settlers, their sabers igniting not for battle, but for construction, cutting stone and clearing pathways. Each new station became a symbol of compassion and progress, glowing like lanterns in the void. The Jedi felt the warmth of purpose, knowing their efforts would shape generations. And in the harmony of these great works, a quiet confidence settled over the galaxy, as though nothing could disturb its rising light. 48. Starlight Beacon rises. Among all the great works, none shone brighter than Starlight Beacon, a colossal station constructed on the galaxy's frontier. Built to guide ships, offer aid, and unite distant worlds, it stood as a towering symbol of hope. For the Jedi stationed there, life unfolded in peaceful rhythms. Morning meditation, calm patrols, and evenings spent watching nebulae bloom in soft color outside panoramic windows. Starlight Beacon's light reached far into unexplored territories, a reminder that compassion could illuminate even the darkest reaches of space. And as the station's radiant glow pulsed through hyperspace, it felt as though a new chapter of galactic harmony was being written in the stars themselves. 49. The Jedi in harmony. During the High Republic, the Jedi lived in rare equilibrium, their temples vibrant with learning, their missions filled with gentle purpose. They practiced elegant forms of lightsaber combat more as art than battle, moving like streams of light within crystal-lined training halls. Meditation gardens bloomed on every level of their outposts, where younglings listened to the sound of distant stars while learning the rhythms of the Force. Jedi across the galaxy felt deeply connected to one another, as though their hearts beat in quiet unison. It was an age when fear felt distant and the future glowed with promise. And within that glow, the Order believed the light would guide them forever forward. 50. New forms of lightsaber mastery. In this flourishing era, lightsaber combat evolved into something more refined, less a tool for war, and more a discipline of grace, intention, and balance. Masters developed new forms that emphasized flow, awareness, and connection with the living force. Training duels felt like choreographed dances, their blades humming in harmonious arcs that left sparks drifting gently through the air. Some Jedi chose crossguard sabers, others curved hilts, and many personalized their weapons as an expression of their inner truth. The Kyber crystal shone with a clarity rarely seen in other eras, and each elegant movement carried a soft reminder that the saber was not for domination, but for guiding and protecting all life. 51. Jedi Way Seekers. Not all Jedi felt called to serve in temples or on councils. Some were drawn to wander the galaxy freely, following only the will of the Force. These were the Way Seekers, Jedi who stepped beyond traditional structure to explore forgotten worlds, lost knowledge, and the quiet mysteries of the cosmos. They traveled alone, yet never felt isolated, for the Force whispered to them constantly like a gentle companion. Way Seekers mediated local disputes, healed troubled communities, and uncovered ancient truths without the weight of formal duty. To many, their presence felt like meeting an old friend. And as they drifted from star to star, they carried the calm promise that the Force was everywhere, guiding all who listened. 52. The Nihil Threat. Amid the High Republic's golden tranquility, a storm gathered at the galaxy's distant edges, the Nihil. They were raiders who moved through hyperspace like lightning, unpredictable and fierce. Their attacks shattered the peaceful rhythm the Jedi had long tended, leaving worlds frightened and unsure. To the Nihil, chaos was freedom. To the Jedi, it was a wound in the living force. Yet even as the Order confronted this rising threat, they did so with steady hearts, seeking to understand the currents that shaped such recklessness. Their sabers ignited not in anger, but in protection, glowing softly against the shadows. And in those tense encounters, the Jedi felt the first tremor in an age they once believed unbreakable. 53. The Drengir Awaken. While the Nihil shook the galaxy with chaos, another danger stirred in forgotten places. The Drengir, ancient plant-like beings with minds rooted in the dark side. They awakened from long slumber, hungry and relentless, spreading corruption through forests, temples, and even the thoughts of unwary travelers. The Jedi, attuned to harmony, felt the Drengir's presence as a dissonant hum in the Force, a twisting of nature's song. Fighting them required more than blades. It required deep understanding of life's balance and the courage to face fear without letting it grow. And as the Drengir's tangled shadows receded, the Jedi realized that even life itself could harbor unexpected darkness. 54. Masters of the Era. The High Republic was guided by luminous figures whose wisdom illuminated every corner of the Order. Masters like Avar Kriss, Loden Greatstorm, Stellan Gios, and others led with kindness, diplomacy, and patient strength. Their connection to the Force was serene, flowing like a calm river through everything they did. Younglings looked to them with wide-eyed trust, sensing the gentle certainty in their presence. These masters trained Padawans not only to wield sabers, but to listen deeply, to feel the galaxy's breath, to honor every life, and to walk gently even in turbulent times. And beneath their guidance, the Jedi Order shone like a constellation at the height of its brilliance. 55. Bonds between Jedi and Republic. During the High Republic, the connection between the Jedi and the Republic blossomed into a partnership built on deep trust. Senators, explorers, and citizens alike saw the Jedi not as distant mystics, but as warm, dependable companions walking beside them in uncertain times. Diplomatic gatherings often opened with Jedi blessings, soft words that calmed the atmosphere like a gentle breeze passing through open windows. Jedi starships traveled with relief convoys, bringing healing and reassurance to worlds shaken by disaster. This harmony created a sense of unity rarely seen in other eras, a tapestry of cooperation that felt almost unbreakable. And woven through that tapestry, the Force hummed quietly, binding the galaxy in luminous peace. 56. Temple life in the High Republic. Within the High Republic's temples, life moved at a peaceful, meditative rhythm. Younglings woke to soft chimes echoing through sunlit halls, their mornings spent practicing simple lightsaber forms beneath the watchful eyes of serene masters. Afternoon lessons unfolded in circular chambers decorated with murals of ancient wisdom. Evenings were filled with stories shared under the glow of floating lanterns. Temples were alive with gentle laughter, study, and reflection, a balance of discipline and joy. Pilgrims from distant planets often visited simply to feel the calm that radiated from these sacred spaces. And within those quiet walls, the Jedi nurtured a generation that knew only light, unaware of the approaching shadows. 57. The Order's expansive joy. This was an age when the Jedi felt true delight in their work, a sincere, heart-deep joy in bridging worlds, solving mysteries, and helping life flourish. Missions rarely involved conflict. Instead, they meant learning new cultures, healing wounded landscapes, and sharing wisdom with communities eager for guidance. Jedi often returned from distant journeys with stories of strange creatures, breathtaking vistas, and friendships formed in unexpected places. Their hearts were open, their spirits light, their purpose clear. They believed with gentle certainty that the galaxy was moving toward harmony. And in that hopeful glow, the Jedi walked confidently forward, unaware that destiny was quietly turning a darker page. 58. Tragedies that stirred the light. Even in an age of radiance, sorrow sometimes touched the Jedi. Sudden disasters, unexpected losses, and the growing threats of the Nihil and Drengir reminded the Order that peace was always fragile. When tragedy struck, Jedi gathered in quiet circles, offering support through shared meditation and gentle reflection. They mourned not with despair, but with compassion, believing that every loss returned to the Force like ripples fading into a still pond. These moments tested their resolve, teaching them humility and reminding them that even the brightest eras carry shadows. And from each sorrowful moment, the Jedi drew deeper strength, letting empathy guide their steps into the uncertain tomorrows. 59. The era's quiet wisdom. As challenges grew, so did the Jedi's understanding of the galaxy's subtle complexities. Masters spent long evenings in contemplation, reviewing ancient teachings and searching for clarity in the patterns of the Force. Their wisdom was soft-spoken, shaped not by dominance, but by attentive listening to their Padawans, to the Republic, and to the unspoken needs of distant worlds. They valued patience over haste, harmony over victory, presence over power. Guided by these principles, the High Republic Jedi navigated conflict not with aggression, but with gentle insight. And each thoughtful choice became a star in a constellation of wisdom that future generations would look back on with wonder. 60. Seeds of the coming fall. Even as the Jedi's light glowed across the galaxy, faint cracks began to form beneath the surface. Tensions within the Republic grew quietly, unnoticed by most. The shadows of the Sith, long thought to be myths or memories, whispered faintly through the Force like distant thunder. Some Jedi sensed the tremor, but dismissed it as fleeting imbalance. Others felt unease in their meditations, subtle distortions that made the light quiver. Though the Order remained confident, destiny was already shifting. Slowly, silently, like night following day. And from those hidden seeds, the first roots of a much darker era began to take hold. 61. The Jedi of the Prequel Age. By the time the prequel era dawned, the Jedi Order had become a pillar of stability in a galaxy growing ever more complex. Their ranks were vast, their temples filled with students from countless worlds. With elegant robes and calm voices, these Jedi moved through the Republic as trusted advisors and peacekeepers, bringing serenity to places overwhelmed by uncertainty. Yet beneath their composed exterior lingered a quiet tension, a subtle sense that their connection to the living force was becoming clouded by responsibility, tradition, and endless political entanglements. Still, the Jedi worked tirelessly to serve the galaxy as they always had. And in their steady footsteps, the faint tremors of change began to whisper through the halls of the temple. 62. The reign of the High Council. At the center of the Order stood the Jedi High Council, 12 wise beings who guided decisions with patient deliberation. They gathered in a serene circular chamber high atop the Coruscant Temple, surrounded by windows that opened to a shimmering ocean of city lights. Each counselor was chosen for their mastery of the Force, their clarity of thought, and their unwavering dedication to peace. They debated softly, with respect for every viewpoint, seeking harmony in the smallest details. Yet their focus drifted more toward politics and procedure than the living force itself, a shift so subtle they scarcely noticed. And as their wisdom steered the Order forward, destiny waited just beyond the glow of the skyline. 63. Qui-Gon, Jinn's philosophies. Among the Jedi of this era, Qui-Gon Jinn stood apart, a calm, contemplative master who trusted the living force above all traditions. He believed that intuition was the truest guide, that compassion mattered more than rules, and that the Force spoke most clearly in the quiet moments between thoughts. Many viewed his teachings as unconventional, yet his serenity and kindness touched everyone he met. Qui-Gon moved like a gentle breeze through the galaxy, healing disputes with simple honesty and deep empathy. His insights hinted at paths the Jedi might have taken had they listened more closely to the currents flowing around them. And in Qui-Gon's peaceful wisdom, the galaxy glimpsed a future that might have been, if only the Order had followed his gentle lead. 64. The Prophecy of the Chosen One. Deep within ancient Jedi archives rested a prophecy whispered across generations, the coming of a chosen one who would bring balance to the Force. Masters debated its meaning for centuries, tracing the delicate phrasing with quiet reverence. Some believed it foretold salvation. Others feared it warned of great upheaval. Yet all sensed that its words carried a weight beyond simple prediction. The prophecy lingered like a calm breeze before a storm, subtle and haunting. When young Anakin Skywalker entered the Order, Many felt the old verses stir, as though the Force itself had taken a gentle breath. And in that moment, destiny seemed to shift, setting the galaxy on a new, uncertain path toward balance and shadow. 65. Rise of the Shadowy Sith. Unbeknownst to the Jedi, the Sith had already returned, patient, hidden, and infinitely more dangerous than before. No longer waging open war, they moved like whispers behind curtains of politics and secrecy. Darth Sidious, cloaked in the identity of a humble senator, manipulated events with cold precision, his presence veiled from even the most perceptive masters. The dark side clouded the Force, leaving the Jedi blind to threats taking shape right before their eyes. Though they sensed disturbances, they could not pinpoint their source, like listeners hearing distant thunder from a storm they could not see. And beneath this growing shadow, the delicate foundations of peace began to tremble softly. 66. Phantom Menace. Unfolds. The galaxy's tranquility unraveled when the Trade Federation blockaded Naboo, igniting a chain of events that would reshape history. Jedi Masters, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan Kenobi were sent to negotiate, unaware that they were stepping directly into the designs of the hidden Sith. Battles erupted in Theed's regal streets, alliances were forged, and a young queen stood brave against impossible odds. Behind every moment, Sidious pulled unseen threads, steering the conflict to weaken the Republic and test the Jedi. Though victory came in the end, it carried unsettling ripples, and as the dust settled on Naboo, the Jedi sensed that their ancient enemy had returned. But the truth remained just out of reach. 67. Training of the Younglings. Within the peaceful halls of the Edur Coruscant Temple, younglings began their journey into the Force with wide eyes and steady hearts. They trained in small groups, guided by masters who taught with patience and quiet encouragement. Their days were filled with simple lessons, learning to breathe with intention, to sense one another's emotions, to understand the hum of their training sabers. In circular classrooms, lit by soft blue glow panels, they practiced moving as one, flowing like water in harmony. Laughter often echoed through the halls as they made mistakes and learned from them. And in the innocence of their early steps, the Jedi saw the promise of a future still untouched by war or shadow. 68. Padawans of the Era. When a youngling showed readiness, a Jedi Knight or Master would choose them as a Padawan, a moment of honor marked by gentle hope. Together, they traveled the galaxy, learning from every mission, every quiet conversation, every challenge the Force placed before them. Padawans braided their hair with leather cords, symbols of progress woven through each lesson learned. They meditated beside their masters, listening to the galaxy's hidden harmonies, and practiced lightsaber forms on rooftop gardens beneath Coruscant's star-flecked sky. It was a partnership built on trust, curiosity, and the shared pursuit of wisdom. And with each step forward, Padawans grew into the guardians they were destined to become. 69. The Republic grows fragile. Though the Republic still shimmered with grandeur, cracks began to spread beneath its polished surface. Political disputes deepened, corruption crept quietly through Senate corridors, and systems once united drifted into disagreement. The Jedi found themselves pulled into increasingly complex negotiations, their roles shifting from peaceful mediators to weary guardians of a wavering order. While the galaxy bustled with life, a subtle unease pulsed beneath it, like a faint tremor beneath calm ground. Some Jedi sensed the imbalance, yet few understood its true cause. The shadow of the Sith, hidden behind smiling faces and polite gestures. And as this fragility spread, the Jedi stepped carefully, unaware of how close the darkness truly was. 70. Darkness. Behind the Senate curtains. As political tensions grew, the Jedi found the Senate increasingly clouded by motives that felt misaligned with the Force. Lobbyists, factions, and hidden alliances tugged at decisions meant to guide billions of lives. Yet beneath the chatter of debates and the glow of floating repulsor lights, Darth Sidious moved unseen, weaving his influence through every corridor. Senators argued while he listened, shaping outcomes with the quiet precision of a master strategist. The Jedi, seated high in their ivory towers, sensed something was wrong, a disturbance like a cold draft in a warm room. And though they watched carefully, the true storm remained hidden behind polite smiles and silken political gestures. 71. The cloning mysteries. When reports emerged of a secret clone army commissioned in the Jedi's name, confusion rippled through the Order. Knights searched archives, traced old communications, and meditated deeply. Yet the truth remained elusive. The army had been created on Kamino, a distant world of endless rain and shimmering oceans. There, the Jedi found thousands of identical soldiers, each bred for loyalty and precision. Though they sensed unease, the looming threat of galactic war left little room for deeper questioning. The clones stood ready, and the Republic needed them. And as the Jedi accepted this mystery with quiet reluctance, the dark side smiled from the shadows, its plan unfolding perfectly. 72. Anakin Skywalker's rise. Gifted, passionate, and powerful beyond measure, Anakin Skywalker grew swiftly in the Jedi Order. Under Obi-Wan Kenobi's steady guidance, he learned discipline, patience, and compassion, though sometimes his emotions flared brighter than the sabers he trained with. Missions across the galaxy shaped him, revealing both his heroic heart and the fear he tried so desperately to hide. The Council respected his potential, but worried about the intensity of his attachments, especially the love he carried beneath carefully controlled breath. Yet despite their concerns, Anakin's light shone brilliantly, illuminating every battlefield and temple hallway he passed through. And in that shining brilliance, destiny whispered softly, preparing to turn the tide of the entire galaxy. 73. Obi-Wan's steady path. Obi-Wan Kenobi walked the Jedi path with a quiet steadiness that inspired those around him. Disciplined, thoughtful, and deeply committed to the code, he carried the serenity of a true guardian. Though he often wrestled with doubt, he channeled those uncertainties into humility, allowing the Force to guide him with gentle clarity. As mentor to Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan balanced patience with firm guidance, offering both compassion and structure. From the deserts of Tatooine to the high towers of Coruscant, his presence felt like a lantern in the dark, steady, warm, unwavering. And through every trial he faced, the Force wove a subtle thread of destiny around him, preparing him for challenges he could not yet imagine. 74. Ahsoka's coming awakening. Chosen as Anakin's Padawan, Ahsoka Tano entered the Order's history like a spark of unexpected light. Young, curious, and fiercely determined, she learned quickly under the guidance of her unconventional master. She questioned boldly, listened deeply, and forged her own understanding of justice and compassion. Though her path was filled with difficult lessons, Ahsoka's spirit remained bright, carrying a warmth that touched everyone she met. Her bond with Anakin grew into something profound, a partnership built on trust, laughter, and shared resilience. Yet as she matured, she began to perceive cracks in the order that others overlooked. And in her awakening, the galaxy gained a voice that would one day stand apart from Jedi and Sith alike. 75. A galaxy on the brink. Despite the calm appearance of Republic life, the galaxy teetered on the edge of a precipice. Systems whispered of rebellion, separatist movements gained momentum, and trade disputes deepened into festering wounds. Jedi were dispatched across the stars to mediate, yet their presence often signaled tension rather than resolution. The dark side pulsed beneath it all, subtle but insistent, distorting visions and clouding clarity. As conflicts escalated, the Order stretched itself thin, losing sight of the deeper currents guiding the Force. The air grew heavy, as though the galaxy held its breath. And in that quiet tension, the first sparks of the Clone Wars flickered ominously into being. 76. The Clone Wars ignite. When the first blaster bolts of the Clone Wars lit the skies over Geonosis, the galaxy shifted into an era it had long feared, but could no longer avoid. Jedi who once spent their days teaching and meditating suddenly found themselves leading legions of soldiers bred for war. The hum of lightsabers blended with the thunder of artillery, and peaceful negotiations gave way to urgent battlefield decisions. Though the Jedi fought with honor, many felt a quiet sorrow, a sense that they were drifting farther from their true purpose. Still, they stood firm, protecting the innocent wherever the fighting grew fiercest. And as the war spread across star systems like a gathering storm, the Force whispered warnings too soft for most to hear. 77. Jedi become generals. Reluctantly, the Jedi accepted roles as generals in the Grand Army of the Republic. They studied battle strategies, coordinated fleets, and made decisions that weighed heavily on their hearts. Yet even amid war, they sought to maintain compassion, healing wounded soldiers, rescuing civilians, and guiding their clone battalions with dignity. Bonds formed between Jedi and clones, friendships built on trust rather than programming. But every victory came with a price. More time spent in war councils, less in meditation, more focus on tactics, less on the living force. The Order began to stretch and strain beneath responsibilities never meant for its spirit. And in that widening rift, darkness found room to quietly grow. 78. Cost of war on the Order. As months turned into years, the weight of the Clone Wars carved deep lines into the Jedi Order. Exhaustion echoed through temple corridors. Younglings felt the tension in their teachers' voices. Masters struggled to reconcile the violence they witnessed with the peace they had sworn to uphold. The Force itself felt turbulent. A river once calm now stirred by countless sorrows. Many Jedi questioned whether they were guiding the war or being swept along by forces beyond their sight. Though they remained devoted to the light, shadows clung to the edges of their thoughts. And with each passing battle, the Order drifted further from the stillness that once defined it. 79. Barriss Offee's vision. Amid the chaos of the Clone Wars, some Jedi began to feel a deep unease, sensing that their path had strayed from its intended harmony. Barriss Offee, once a devoted healer, felt this dissonance more acutely than most. She saw how the Order had become entwined with violence, how war clouded their judgment and dimmed their inner light. Her fear and confusion grew heavy, like storm clouds gathering behind her eyes. In desperation, she acted against the very temple she once cherished, believing drastic measures might wake the Order from its slumber. Her choices were tragic, misguided, and shaped by anguish rather than clarity. And in her fall, the galaxy glimpsed a painful truth. Even the gentle can break beneath unbearable strain. 80. The Siege of Mandalore. As the war neared its devastating crescendo, one of its fiercest battles erupted on the proud world of Mandalore. Ahsoka Tano, no longer a Jedi but still guided by the light, returned to confront a rising darkness threatening the planet. Alongside loyal clone commanders, she descended into a conflict woven with destiny's threads. The clash against Maul echoed through cities and shattered domes, sabers igniting like lightning beneath Mandalore's twilight skies. Though the battle raged, Ahsoka fought with compassion and clarity, refusing to let hatred take root in her heart. And as the dust settled, the Force trembled softly, for the end of the war and the Order was drawing near. 81. Anakin's breaking point. While battles blazed across the galaxy, Anakin Skywalker fought an internal war far more powerful than any he faced with a lightsaber. His fears for those he loved began to eclipse his faith in the Jedi Code. Visions of loss tormented him, clinging to his thoughts like shadows he could not dispel. Whispers from the dark side soothed his worries with promises of impossible salvation, drawing him toward a treacherous path. Torn between loyalty and desperation, Anakin stood at the edge of destiny, his heart pounding like a drum in a silent canyon. And in that fragile moment, the slightest push would decide whether he rose as a guardian or fell as a storm. 82. The Fall of Ahsoka. Tano Ahsoka's departure from the Jedi Order marked one of the most painful fractures in its long history. Falsely accused and cast into doubt by those she trusted, she felt the weight of betrayal press on her heart like a cold, unyielding stone. Though eventually proven innocent, the Order's hesitation wounded her deeply. With quiet resolve, she chose to walk her own path, stepping away from the temple's tall spires into the uncertain light of freedom. Her absence left an ache in Anakin's spirit, a reminder of everything slipping beyond his control. And in Ahsoka's lonely departure, the Force whispered a warning that the Jedi were drifting further from the compassion that once defined them. 83. Wisdom lost in war. As the Clone Wars reached every corner of the galaxy, the Jedi found themselves reacting to crisis after crisis, leaving little time for meditation or reflection. Their once cherished practices of quiet contemplation faded beneath the urgent demands of battle strategy. The ancient wisdom that shaped the Order's identity seemed to dim, buried under reports, briefings, and missions without end. Many Jedi struggled to hear the Force clearly, as though its gentle currents were drowned beneath a roaring tide. Even the Council felt this strain, their decisions marked more by necessity than insight. And in that growing disconnect, the light of the Jedi flickered, not extinguished, but trembling in the turbulent wind of war. 84. The Jedi blindness to the Sith. Despite their strength and devotion, the Jedi could no longer see the truth unfolding before them. The Sith, long believed extinct, had returned and now moved in the very heart of the Republic. The dark side clouded their visions like thick fog, turning prophetic clarity into shadows and half-whispers. They sensed imbalance, but could not name its cause, searching the stars when the danger sat within arm's reach. Sidious manipulated each moment with perfect patience, guiding the Jedi toward exhaustion and doubt. And as the Order gazed outward, the darkness coiled quietly around them, waiting for the destined moment to strike. 85. Palpatine's final moves. As the Clone Wars neared their breaking point, Chancellor Palpatine tightened his grip on the galaxy with masterful subtlety. Every emergency act, every political maneuver brought him closer to unchecked power. He played both sides of the conflict, guiding the Republic and the Separatists like pieces on a quiet, deadly board. To the Jedi, he seemed a weary leader carrying the burdens of a fractured galaxy. Yet beneath that gentle mask lurked the cold calculations of Darth Sidious. His influence seeped into decisions, clouding the judgment of even the wisest masters. And as he waited patiently for the final moment, the dark side gathered around him like a silent tide preparing to rise. 86. Order. 66. Descends. When the command was given, a simple sequence of numbers spoken with chilling calm, the galaxy changed in an instant. Clone troopers, once loyal companions, turned their weapons upon the Jedi without hesitation, their minds seized by hidden programming buried deep within. Across battlefields, starships, and distant outposts, lightsabers ignited in shock and sorrow as guardians of peace fell beneath the betrayal of their own allies. The Force cried out, shuddering with the weight of so many extinguished lights. Worlds that once welcomed Jedi with open arms suddenly grew silent. And in the heart of that tragedy, the Order slipped into darkness, its centuries of wisdom scattered like stars dimming in the night. 87. The Temple falls. On Coruscant, the Jedi Temple, a sanctuary that had stood for millennia, became the center of unimaginable heartbreak. Once filled with laughter, meditation, and the gentle lessons of younglings, its halls now echoed with the sound of blaster fire and collapsing stone. Anakin Skywalker, newly fallen to the dark side, led the assault with a cold resolve that shook the very foundations of the Order. Flames flickered where lanterns once glowed, and the great spires of the temple dimmed beneath smoke-filled skies. The Jedi legacy, carefully built across generations, seemed to crumble in a single night. And as the final embers settled, the galaxy slipped into the long shadow of an empire rising. 88. Survivors in the shadows. In the quiet aftermath of the Jedi Temple's fall, a few surviving Jedi slipped into hiding, their once bright presences dimmed to soft embers. They wandered from world to world, avoiding Imperial patrols and sensing danger through the trembling threads of the Force. Some found refuge in forgotten temples. Others hid among ordinary citizens who still believed in compassion. Many carried sorrow heavy as nightfall, mourning not only the Order, but the innocents lost across the galaxy. Yet even in their grief, they protected those in need whenever fate placed them nearby. And in their fragile survival, the light endured, flickering, quiet, but unbroken, waiting for a future that still lay beyond the horizon. 89. Yoda's final meditation. Deep within the emerald swamps of Dagobah, Yoda found sanctuary far from the Emperor's searching gaze. Alone in a humble hut, woven from vines and mist, he listened to the Force with a serenity he had not felt in years. The world around him hummed with life, insects singing, water dripping gently from wide leaves, the air thick with ancient wisdom. In this solitude, Yoda reflected on the rise and fall of the Jedi, acknowledging old mistakes with quiet humility. Yet he also found hope, sensing that the Force still moved with purpose. And in that stillness, he prepared patiently for the day when a new light would rise from the galaxy's darkest night. 90. The Twilight of the Jedi. Across countless systems, stories of the Jedi faded into whispers, spoken only in secret by those who remembered their kindness. The Empire painted them as traitors, scrubbing their image from murals, holobooks, and archives. Temples fell to ruin, their stones reclaimed by sand, vines, or the cold silence of space. Yet the Force does not forget. Even as darkness reigned, faint echoes of the Jedi lingered like soft footprints in time. A rescued family here, a mysterious traveler there, acts of hidden compassion that defied Imperial fear. The Order no longer stood in the open, but its spirit drifted quietly through the galaxy. And somewhere in that twilight, the first glimmers of renewal waited to awaken. 91. The Rise of the Inquisitors. As the Empire tightened its grasp on the galaxy, the darkness birthed a new order of hunters, the Inquisitors. Once Jedi themselves, or Force-sensitive beings twisted by fear and pain, they were reshaped into instruments of the Emperor's will. Cloaked in black and guided by relentless purpose, they scoured the stars for any remaining sparks of Jedi light. Their ships moved like shadows through hyperspace, silent and swift. Yet behind their fierce masks lived fragments of who they once were. Faint memories, quiet regrets, whispers of the light they had abandoned. And as they pursued survivors across distant worlds, the Force held its breath, knowing that even among hunters, redemption sometimes flickers in the dark. 92. Obi-Wan in exile. Across the dunes of Tatooine, Obi-Wan Kenobi lived a life of quiet solitude. No longer a general, no longer a council member, only a guardian watching over the young boy, destined to restore balance. Beneath twin suns, he walked the sands, listening to the Force in its most humble form. The shifting wind, the heartbeat of distant creatures, the soft rustle of moisture farms waking at dawn. His hut was simple, filled with only memories and purpose. Though burdened by loss, Obi-Wan carried hope like a lantern against the night, waiting for the moment the Force would call him to guide the next generation. And in that patient stillness, he rediscovered the gentle heart of the Jedi way. 93. Yoda on Dagobah. Far from civilization, Yoda embraced the wild serenity of Dagobah, a world teeming with life untouched by war or politics. The swamp's murky pools and towering roots became his sanctuary, a place where the Force pulsed raw and pure. Here, he practiced deep meditations, allowing the living Force to wash over his spirit like warm rain. The world spoke to him in quiet rhythms, the croak of distant creatures, the flutter of tiny wings, the ripple of mist drifting across still waters. Though he knew he could not defeat the Empire alone, he found peace and patience, trusting the unseen future. And within that solitude, he prepared his heart for the student who would one day find him. 94. The Children of the Force. Even in the age of the Empire, the Force continued to awaken in young hearts across the galaxy. Infants sensed gentle currents they could not name. Children saw visions and dreams that shimmered like distant starlight. Imperial agents hunted for these gifted souls, hoping to twist them toward darkness or suppress their potential. Yet many slipped through the cracks, protected by loving families, hidden by brave strangers, or guided by faint whispers of intuition. These children carried echoes of the Jedi legacy within them, sparks of possibility that no empire could ever fully extinguish. And in their small, shining presence, the Force promised quietly that the story of the light was far from over. 95. The Faded Temples. Scattered across forgotten worlds, the ancient temples of the Jedi fell into slumber. Vines curled around once bright arches. Dust settled on murals depicting heroes in harmony. Some temples were reclaimed by nature, swallowed slowly by forests that hummed gently with the Force. Others stood beneath alien stars, silent monuments to an order the galaxy believed lost. Travelers occasionally stumbled upon these ruins, feeling a strange peace as they walked among the stones. Even abandoned, the temples radiated warmth, reminders of an age when wisdom guided the galaxy's path. And in the hush of those sacred remnants, the Force lingered, waiting for new footsteps to fill the halls once more. 96. Jedi texts preserved. Though the Order had fallen, its teachings endured through ancient scrolls, encoded holocrons, and fragile manuscripts hidden in secret vaults. These texts carried stories of compassion, balance, and the responsibility that comes with power. Some were preserved by scholars who admired the Jedi. Others were smuggled away by survivors determined to protect their heritage. The Force seemed to guide these relics into safe hands, ensuring that their wisdom would one day light the path for future generations. Quietly, patiently, the teachings waited, ink and crystal, holding centuries of insight in delicate stillness. And as they rested in the shadows of a darkened age, they whispered softly of a time when hope would rise again. 97. Luke's quiet. Rebuilding. Years after the Empire's fall, Luke Skywalker sought not glory, but understanding. Wandering from world to world with the humility of a true seeker, he listened to the Force in forgotten ruins, ancient forests, and lonely mountaintops. He gathered fragments of Jedi wisdom, holocrons, scrolls, memories carried by elders who still remembered the old ways. Luke taught with gentleness, guiding his students not through rigid doctrine, but through open curiosity and compassion. His academy grew slowly, like seedlings nurtured in soft light. Though challenges lay ahead, Luke carried hope in every step, determined to honor what the Jedi once were, while embracing what they could become. And in his patient rebuilding, the dawn of a new era quietly began to glow. 98. The promise of new students. Among those drawn to Luke's teachings were young beings who sparkled with potential. Some shy, some bold, all touched by the quiet hum of the Force. They trained together beneath open skies, practicing lightsaber forms in meadows where wildflowers swayed to gentle breezes. Lessons unfolded in calm circles, with discussions about empathy, balance, and the responsibilities of power. Each student forged their own connection to the Force, discovering strengths and fears with Luke's steady guidance. In their laughter and determination, the legacy of the Jedi found new roots, and as these hopeful learners grew, the galaxy felt the first hints of renewal stirring like morning light. 99. The living Force endures. Through all wars, exiles, triumphs, and tragedies, the living Force remained steady. The eternal current flowing through every being, every world, every whispered breath. It guided those who listened, comforted those who sorrowed, and illuminated paths for those willing to walk in harmony. Even when the Jedi faltered, the Force never dimmed. Even when darkness reignited, it never ceased its quiet song. Beings across the galaxy felt it in the rustle of leaves, the glow of nebulae, the warmth of kindness shared between strangers. And in that unbroken presence, the promise of balance endured, waiting for the one who would carry it forward into the stars. 100. Hope reborn in the stars. Even after ages of conflict and sorrow, the Force continued to nurture small sparks of hope across the galaxy. In quiet corners of distant worlds, new voices rose. Children who felt the gentle pull of destiny, wanderers who sensed harmony in the wind, and travelers who dreamed of peace rather than power. These tiny sparks glimmered like stars breaking through a night sky, subtle yet unmistakably bright. Though the Jedi Order had fallen, its spirit lingered in acts of kindness, in moments of courage, in the quiet strength of those who believed in balance. The Force whispered to each of them, guiding gently, patiently, lovingly. And from these scattered lights, the promise of a new dawn slowly began to rise, ready to awaken when the galaxy needed it most. And as our quiet journey through the galaxy comes to rest, may the Force settle softly around you, bringing balance to your mind and peace to your dreams. We have walked from the dawn of the Jedi to the twilight of their order, following gentle footsteps across millennia of hope, wisdom, and change. Now, let the echoes of these stories drift into the background, like distant stars fading into a tranquil night sky. If these tales helped you drift deeper into rest, remember to like, subscribe, and share which era of the Star Wars galaxy you'd love to fall asleep to next. When you're ready to keep dreaming, just tap the end screen and float into another peaceful voyage under twin suns and endless starlight. Rest well, traveler. The Force will guide your dreams.